republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, but here, Deb Christie is here. Shelley, here, Shelley Kaiser is here. I'm Mindy Nash, and we have our one, we're missing our. David. The voting member. I thought he was removed. Okay, that's what we're gonna, for the discussion. I'm voting no. Oh, we still have. Yeah, five.
3 out of 5 is okay.
Okay.
50% plus 1 is what you gotta
I
have.
know. Pretty good. So, January 13th, there was a committee. We're just saying. Thank you. The outline of that is something like that. Oh, thank you. And did you know the term is. I saw that it was proposed. It's finalized.
There's an impartiality clause for the clerk somewhere.
Sure. That way we have a very. I don't mind, but it's not. Yeah, definitely. Okay.
There, the mayor recommends, and then council.
All in favor? Executive? Presentation.
that way. As we've been going through public hearing, and we've been trigger skip. Organic. And last sentence, unless otherwise provided. That being one of the major parts. 30 days. Under new business. Remember, did add the putting that up. That.
Which will still leave you all five, right?
5:30.
Great. I would just like to comment, I know Shelley and I have talked about this, but there is a presentation next week by Buddy that's going to come. I believe he's also coming the day before. I've seen some email traffic that he is going to be here, and I will probably meet with him and the village manager on the 11th. Then his presentation will be on the 12th. So he'll be able to, we have several council member attending. He'll be able to go through where he's seen this other places. He'll be able to talk about, cost averaging and some of the other questions that I know some council members had. Hopefully that will be a very positive presentation and have us lined up for the next council meeting, which is not set yet, but should be on the,
February 24th.
there you go. 24th.
Maybe 5:30.
5:30. Yeah. That's next Thursday at 5:30 will be his presentation.
I may not be quite correct, but I think as in members,
Right.
then I think study discuss of the water will be
Right. I know he's been presented with quasi map of village owned buildings. So he's going to be driving by those to see what modifications we're going to have to make. One of the questions would be, what will this cost the village to do? So he's been given that list or inventory buildings, if you will. But the hope will be his presentation is well received. We move to the 24th, where we could get started with council's first vote of approval to move this thing forward. If that goes well, then this would go off to the village attorney. And I think the next order of business for this committee would be beginning the actual dark sky application process once we've gotten the vote of approval from council.
legal and saying parallel.
Right.
Then
Correct. And hopefully we don't get a lot of notes back from International Dark Sky. We'd like to see this adopted before the full building season hits, which is usually more in the April-May timeline. So that gives us basically February, March, April to adopt and build out the processes. So the only thing we didn't stage in is the new construction. So the first process we're going to have to build will be with planning and zoning. If this is adopted, counting the number of lights on all the new builds that will start to flow into that office.
that shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be complicated, but it is just another process to build, to make sure it's a check in that process.
We find out from Dark Sky. We say, we go ahead and
It's possible, so this would be replacing an existing ordinance, which means we do have to go through the full ordinance adoption, which is the public notice. We'll have to publish this in House News and have public hearings where we allow people to comment. So there is a bit of a process there. I don't think it's gonna take us, assuming we get to the February 24th meeting and get a vote of approval. I don't see this taking longer than March to actually go through the process. Our legal counsel has been far more responsive on things as of yet. So I guess one question would be, and I wish Gary was here, is how long the dark sky process? If we know what that is, because we haven't asked them yet. We haven't had anything to take to them.
Well, see what other. Started with some.
Right. Right,
So I
right.
didn't know if we might be able to get this passed and then. Dark Sky says we
Sure.
this number to this number.
At this point, we would prefer to pass something, even if it doesn't make dark sky out of the first go rate, and then massage it as needed after. Because the big onus is we really want to get the P and Z process started on the new builds first. We don't want to miss another building season.
Then I was reading. They want to see. It's just
Right.
flip-flopping.
So the good news is all of the important metrics that we borrowed from Breckenridge, we know made dark sky adoption. So, you know, the 6 lights plus 2 per door, we know that process works for dark skies since somebody already used it. So we didn't reinvent too many wheels here, we're hoping.
Then we got curious that. Many. Agreed to lighting around. Their station. Couldn't the village. That, do we have to have an ordinance to make them change?
No, we couldn't, but I think one of the conversations we've been having in the background is we want to set a standard, make sure it's adoptable, and then obviously the village can go change all of it. It costs our money to do it, but we can take that onus and kind of take the first step to say, okay, we're taking fire station number 2 first. And really be proactive about it. The other one we've been talking about is the new fire station 1. It's still in design phase right now. We'd sure like for all of the lights being put on it to be out of the gate dark sky compliant. So there are certainly things that the village can do and be first with, and then start that advertising process that, hey, we're going through this. I think I mentioned to Shelley, and I'll just say to both of you, Manager Weir and the mayor did have a meeting with Kit Carson shortly after the last meeting that Dark Sky presented. And Kit Carson is already keenly aware of this process. In fact, the state is already forcing them to do this, but they're doing it on the timeline of if a fixture can be fixed with a simple light bulb change the light bulb. If it's anything other than the light bulb and you have to change the fixture, they're obligating them to do a dark sky compliant streetlight at that point. So they already know the process. It will give Kit Carson a bit of an exemption from the 5 years. In other words, state code will control here, not ours. But Kit Carson has already been set forth on that path and they're familiar with it, which is nice that we don't have to go, hey, we're doing that now too, is all we have to do is raise our hand and say, come look at our streetlights that are out and figure out which ones need replaced and which ones you're gonna put bulbs.
If it's just a bulb, they're gonna go.
If it's just a bulb, they're gonna put whatever bulb is specified for that fixture. So if the fixture can remain, whatever bulb goes in that fixture is what's gonna be put back in it. But the minute any wiring or globes or anything else has to be touched, the fixture basically gets condemned and a new fixture comes in its place that will be dark sky compliant.
I think.
Yep.
I guess they.
They do. So we're not going to get into what their specifications are. And if they have an old light fixture that's still good and it may have a non-compliant type bulb, they're still going to be allowed to use that bulb until the end life of that.
It's going great. Meantime, I'm going. Mr. You don't really.
You don't have to be there for that. That's a fairly easy one. Obviously, the mayor appointed David before and it's totally fine with him wanting off and it's not a new committee member. It's just, hey, this guy, Gary, can be a voting member now. So it's a very easy change.
Attention that he now qualifies.
Well, and that was, for those of you that weren't at that meeting, that was because there are 2 committees we have where state law requires you be a resident. That is the P&Z committee and the lodgers tax committee. But the other committees, that requirement isn't there. So any of our part-timers can be a voting member.